Let's go! Derek Stingley Jr., Eli Ricks, ARIK Gilbert. So many baseless rumors floating around right now. We're going to separate fact from fiction because you guys keep sending me messages regarding everybody's status on the team. And let me just say one blanket statement to make this so much easier. Because of the new age we're living in, and because of the transfer portal, and because of the trend that players now sit out their final season so they can get ready for the NFL draft, legit, in the words of Kevin Garnett, anything is possible. So chill, okay? I know so many of you get so fired up in the comment section whenever you discuss any player's name. Also, should we be scared of one name being floated around for the linebackers coach? There is a major red flag. Okay, that's all coming up today. So go on ahead, subscribe to the channel. It's a road to 4,000 subscribers. Let's go. So right off the top here, this is via Are You Serious Sports. T-Bob does a great job every Tuesday because he not only gets Ed Orgeron on his show, he also gets Derek Stingley Sr. We did get this good piece of meat here from, and this is via Are You Serious Sports. Blake did correct the spelling of Stingley's name, full disclosure, and he does a great job as well. He said Stingley advised T-Bob that Derek Stingley Jr. is a full-time student at LSU and is participating in football activities, and he is shocked to see the rumors that are out there. It is a bunch of bunk, all right? Derek Stingley Jr., there's only two options here, okay? Could he transfer somewhere else? Like I said, anything is possible. Yeah, he could. But look, it's either he's going to play for LSU or he's just going to sit out. Now, is sitting out a possibility here? Absolutely. Ja'Marr Chase, the guy who used to go up against every day in practice, sat out this past year, as did two other LSU starters, Kerry Vincent and Tyler Shelvin. And this is a normal thing now. So, look, Stingley knows he's more than likely going to be a high-round draft pick. He also had a tumultuous season. Tumultuous is such a weird word. But he had a tough season regarding injuries. He had the hospitalization hours before the Mississippi State game. He stepped on the yard marker versus Missouri. He had the concussion against Arkansas. He flew all the way to Gainesville just to not play because they just needed him to dress out so they could have enough players on the roster. So, I mean, it was tough. It was really tough on him. And look, it is hard to play the game of football when in the back of your mind, injuries are very much a possibility just months before you could potentially make millions in the NFL. I've spoken to former players about this very thing, and it's so important to try and block that out while you play. So, look, if he sat out next season, I would totally get his reasoning, the same way that a lot of us understood Ja'Marr Chase's reasoning. I just don't see that happening here. Let's actually go to ARIK Gilbert rumors first. Let's go. The door is open for a return to Baton Rouge, and here's Zach Reagan. He's actually taken a quote from Ed Orgeron back in December when the opt-outs initially happened. If he opts out and wants to come back, definitely I'm going to take him back. My head might be blocking this quote. He's a great player and a great young man. I recruited him and treat him like family just like everybody else. So the rumors are picking up that ARIK Gilbert might be back to LSU. He obviously opted out the final two games. We ended up going to Gainesville and beating the Gators without him. But look, he is an incredible talent. He is only the second tight end in the past decade in the SEC to have 30-plus catches as a true freshman, and he did so in only 8 games. Unless something we don't know about is there with ARIK Gilbert, maybe he did get homesick. Look, especially with Eli Ricks, we'll get to this in a moment. When you're a recruit and you're getting hit up all the time and you're getting all these articles written about you as a 5-star, where you might go, what's next, and then all of a sudden it stops and you're stuck inside your house, you do miss that attention. Some people do miss those dopamine hits. And look, that could be the case here with Gilbert or whoever floating or flirting with the transfer portal. So ARIK Gilbert, who's been in the portal, it looks as if he is seriously considering coming back to LSU. From a pure football perspective, I don't understand if there is an option out there better than LSU, because he did start as a true freshman. He did get his number 2 jersey number. He did get all of these targets. And look, his final few games were frustrating. He had a wide open throw over the middle, delivered to him on the money by TJ Finley. He would have scored a touchdown, but he dropped it. Then against, obviously the Missouri game was fantastic, but then Torrey Carter started getting in and out of the lineup, and he had to start blocking just a little bit more. Now, in our film studies, his blocking was hit or miss. It started to become better, but like I mentioned, he didn't come to LSU to block. He came to catch passes. So, against Texas A&M, TJ Finley threw the ball behind him and missed him for a few open passes, one of which could have been a touchdown. We did a film study on that. I'll link it down below. Also, Alabama, his best game of the season when it comes to blocking. He was incredible, but then after that, he decided to opt out. So, his blocking got better. He started to become better as a player, and I believe he is just the real deal. I really do. Now, what fascinates me is, what's going to happen now that Cole Taylor started getting more playing time? Does he immediately come back and get a starting spot? I would say yes, because he is that talented. But if I was ARIK Gilbert, I would ask myself this question. Would I get the same amount of playing time at some of these other schools? Okay, so if you do a Twitter search, the fan base that is legit chasing ARIK Gilbert the most is Tennessee. And Tennessee would actually be a decent destination now that they have an offensive-minded head coach, and ARIK Gilbert's high school teammate is the starting quarterback at Tennessee as a true freshman. So that is a sexy destination, but out of all the rumored destinations, that is the only place I see immediate playing time for him. You look at Florida, they lose Kyle Pitts, but they have some other young tight ends waiting in the wings. You go to Alabama, they have Jaleel Billingsley, who is a freak athlete. And then at Georgia, they got a 6'7" tight end he would have to beat out, which obviously, Georgia is closest to home for him. So from a pure football perspective, staying at LSU makes the most sense. Because if you transfer outside of going to Tennessee, you would have to develop chemistry with all these new quarterbacks and then beat out the players that are already there. Maybe staying is his best option, and I really do believe he's starting to consider it. Now, before I give my final answer on Gilbert and Stingley, let's talk about that dude, Eli Ricks. Let's go. Here's another quote from Yu Darvish. I love the name. I love that Twitter name. 19 is the greatest team ever. I agree. He is transcribing T-Bob asking Derek Stingley about anything he knows about Elias Ricks. Stingley Sr. said he thinks Eli is flirting with the transfer portal because he feels disconnected at LSU because he's going through a rehab period for his shoulder. Bottom line, out of all three of these players, Eli Ricks was the best player on LSU's team last season. He was that special. And I felt going into the year, I might have overhyped him, but he exceeded those expectations. And look, he's a country traveler, okay? His junior season, he played in California. His senior season, he played in Florida. His true freshman year, he played in Baton Rouge. So going from place to place is a little bit more normal for him than your average football recruit. But as many of you have mentioned, his immediate family moved to Baton Rouge. And he has a really good relationship with that Orgeron dating far back. Cannot say this enough. In recruiting, those single-digit numbers are so important. He got the number 1 jersey, which has been worn by a lot of great LSU defensive backs. Eric Reed, Dante Jackson, the list goes on and on, Christian Fulton. So, he's gotten everything he wanted. Immediate playing time, stepped up, pick 6 Ricks. He's at the best school to be a defensive back. There is no debate. LSU is DBU. He's got Corey Raymond, and now he's got a defensive coordinator who coached defensive backs in the NFL. In particular, younger defensive backs in the NFL in Daronte Jones. So Daronte obviously has a huge role in helping get Stingley and Ricks really motivated to play in his defense, because those are two cornerstone pieces. I think Daronte is going to do a good job getting Eli Ricks back. Now, the same thing holds true. When you're a 5-star recruit and you are being pursued by reporters all the time, people are looking at your highlight clips, and then all of a sudden that kind of slows down when you become a college player, and then you're stuck at home because of a pandemic, you can't go out. You're missing that attention. You're missing those dopamine hits. And Eli Ricks, when he deleted all the stuff from Instagram and everyone started going crazy, and then we had random Instagram posts regarding Ricks, Stingley, and Gilbert, and it's the end of LSU football, and people are sending me screenshots of text message conversations that are allegedly from this player or that player, from this anonymous player. Like I say, what's going to happen is going to happen, and one player doesn't make the team. Now, Elias Ricks is the most valuable player coming back to this team next season, but even then, one player doesn't make the team. With that said, I really hope he comes back, and I believe he is coming back. So, I was going to say that. Now, let's go through all three of these players. ARIK Stingley Jr. is definitely coming back. Could he sit out next year? Absolutely. But he's back. Okay? A South Louisiana kid, Baton Rouge kid. I would be very, very, very shocked if he is not out there playing. So, out of all the players that we have listed, 99.9%, I stay by it, ARIK Stingley Jr. will be suiting up for LSU next season. ARIK Gilbert, just a few weeks ago, I'd put it at like a 25% chance. Now this is all the way up to 75. I really do believe he is rethinking everything, and he's starting to understand how difficult moving somewhere else is when it comes to the sport of football. I think he's coming back. I really do. It could just be hopeless optimist in me, but I would put him at 75% back with LSU next season. And then we have Elias Ricks. I put it at 80% that he's coming back next season. The Ohio State stuff, I could totally understand the rumors. I could totally understand him wanting to test the water somewhere else. Look, all these programs are great programs. But now that LSU has Daronte Jones, and now LSU has, of course, this wasn't going anywhere, but Corey Raymond was definitely going to stay with LSU. It's hard. Your position coaches are back. Georgia just had to hire a new defensive backs coach. So that continuity, that star-making ability when you are an LSU defensive back and you're only a few years away from the NFL, I have a hard time believing that he's going anywhere. So, let the record be shown. This isn't just LSU fan me speaking. I believe LSU will be with ARIK Stingley Jr., Elias Ricks, and ARIK Gilbert next season. I put all three of them coming back at an 80% chance. I think all three of them make that decision to chase a national championship with a super talented roster next season. And, it just makes too much sense for them to come back. This is fascinating. There is a linebacker coach candidate that, to me, is currently leading the race. Should we stay away, though? Let's get to it. Let's go. Sources: LSU seeking to hire an ACC defensive coordinator, and that defensive coordinator is Blake Baker of the Miami Hurricanes. Now, I want you to see this for yourself, all right? These are Miami fans regarding these rumors, okay? Miami fans want Blake Baker the heck out of there. But I thought Blake Baker was a good defensive coordinator. So this is why you can't just go by scoring defense. The reason why I like to use yards per play and different metrics like that is, well, it provides more context regarding a coach's numbers. So you look at the Miami 2020 defense, and they had a good pass rusher in Jalen Phillips and a decent amount of experience. You see here, UAB, they only gave up 14 points in a win. But then when they played tougher opponents like Scott Satterfield's Louisville Cardinals, they gave up 34 points. Go down here to Clemson, 42 points. Okay? NC State, another ranked team that barely put up 2 touchdowns against Kentucky, they gave up 41 points. Then North Carolina, 62 points. Then Oklahoma State, 37 points. So yes, Miami's defense numbers don't look all that bad. But when they played the better teams, they were horrible. But then when they played bad teams, they were really good. So that lets you know everything you need to know about the Miami defense. Now, look, some people say, well, it was Manny Diaz stepping into the play calling of Blake Baker, and that was the reason why. That, of course, could be a major reason why. Also, Blake Baker is not, if he is to be hired by LSU, he is not being hired to be the defensive coordinator. He's being hired to be the linebackers coach. He also has connections with Louisiana Tech. He played his college football at Tulane. I would really like the Blake Baker hire because he also provides some play calling experience where Daronte Jones has not had as much play calling experience, especially at the Power 5 level, as Blake Baker has had. So I think that play calling expertise would definitely come in to help out LSU. But there is a reason why Miami fans want him out. So, I wouldn't be opposed to it. I like it. But I wanted to share why Miami fans are saying what they're saying. And if LSU were to bring in Blake Baker as potentially a co-defensive coordinator, I don't know if I'd like that too much. I want Daronte to have full control of the defense. And if Blake Baker is just the linebackers coach, who is someone that he could just feed off of, I think that would be a decent marriage. Boom! Hopefully you enjoyed this video. I know it's stressful when it comes to the portal rumors and all of that, but still, have an open heart, have an open mind, all right? LSU is going to be fine. Okay? Let's go. It is Power Hour LSU. Boom! Bum, bum, bum. Ba-da-bum. What do we have for dinner tonight? Tuna Steaks round 2? Okay.